Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Planet1wp. My name is Josie Carr. Thank you for stopping by. So we're supposedly Ableton 11 is dropping, and I have one of the beta copies of it, and it's really ridiculous. And I figure, what the hell? Why don't we just jump into it and see what the new features are, or the updates are, and we'll do it together. Okay, so today I'm not even going to waste any time. I'm just going to get right to it, and I'll show you guys my screen, and let's just do it. Okay, so it's much better. Cool, so now here we are looking at the new Ableton. It looks all the same, but let's start a little bit with some of the features. I had to even write them down because there's a lot of new updates on it. It's sick. It's just really sick. There's no other way to describe it. It's sick. So the first thing you guys are gonna see that the logo changed. Is the old one and this is the new one. So I like the colors. I personally like pinkish, purplish colors. Those are one of my favorite colors, so I'm all in for it. Okay, so let's start talking about a few features, right? So one of the first features, I'm gonna hit my tab key and switch out of here. Let me close my browser and the lower section at the bottom here. Okay, is that we can now record multiple takes and create a comp both in MIDI and in audio. Okay, and to do that, I'm just gonna take an audio track. Let's do an audio track here. I'm just gonna mute the end. I'm gonna use my microphone. So I'm just gonna mute the output so it won't hurt us. Okay, let's put the input in here. And as you guys can see, I'm talking into one. I'm gonna turn it on, and I'm gonna turn on the cycle, turn on this cycle. Let me make sure the metronome is not too loud so it won't hurt our ears. And cool. And let's just do a quick recording on it from the very beginning and loop over and over again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let me do that again. Let me solo that track just so it will be just that track for us. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. And that's just 2, right? So now if we wanted to see the takes on that track, we right click on the track and we go show, where is it? The take lanes right here. And we can see that it has 2, and I'm gonna blow it up. So now we can simply comp from one to another by highlighting it like that, hitting enter. And you see it dropped it up here, and then we can time stretch it too if we wanted to by the corners, pull it as well. You see that, how it's changing the top part over here as well. Another quick way to do it is to grab the pencil tool and draw across. I can select this section from that take, this section from that take, this one from here, and this one from here. So the pencil seems to be faster for me, but hey, it's just new. Who knows, right? What's gonna be faster? If we wanted to hear this take right here, we can hit the speaker button right here, and it will play just that take for 2, 3, 4, 1. And if I wanted to play this one as well, 2, 4. And if I wanted to hear, of course, the main take, I would unsolo it and I would hear the comp on top. Another thing that's cool about this multiple takes is that it treats the clips independently. So I can go in here and change this clip just like do any editing on any clip the regular way. So even though they're in the take lanes, you can individually change them in the clip view at the bottom. Another thing you can add as well is an empty take lane as well. Now what I like about creating an empty take lane is you can kind of create your own loops. And you know, if you see it here, insert a take lane, and it will create an empty one, and it allows you to drop loops in there. So think about it. Maybe you could bring in like 4 different drum loops and then take different pieces of them and create your own loop. I think that's super dope. So yeah, to see that, just right click on a track and go to show take lanes, and you'll see it. And it's the same thing for the MIDI as well. Every time you loop record, it records another take over and over. You can open up the take lanes and create your own takes. So cool update, Ableton. Another thing that they did, since we're talking about multiple tracks and things like that, if I had a bunch of tracks, let's say for example, let's make this one comp, duplicate that track, duplicate that track, duplicate that track, and we wanted to edit them all together, then highlight them all here. And instead of creating a group, remember, even though you put stuff in a group, you have to kind of edit them independently. Well, now if you put them together, you can link the tracks. You can edit or mute one track, and it will do it to all of them. You see how I went into record on all of them? So I'll tell you guys what I mean instead of talking in gibberish here. So we have all of these together. So if I do a take, let's say an edit here, from here to there, you see how I'm editing on all the tracks. I can copy that and drop them over here. Or I can just delete the middle part here on all the tracks at one time by linking them. I think that's a super cool feature. You see that? I can solo all of them. I mean, mute them all at the same time if I wanted to as well. Well, that would be the group. I'm not sure how that works. I know record and editing and everything else does. So that's a good question. Maybe I'll find out and let you guys know next week. But that's a cool feature, the fact that you can now link all the tracks, edit them together. What is that useful for? Well, let's say you record a drum kit, and you have all the pieces together, and you want to edit them together as a full drum kit. That's one way to do it as well. And for a lot of other features, I think song arrangement will be easier to edit as well. Normally we would use groups, but we know groups, even though they're inside a group and we wanted to edit the clips inside, we would have to open them up. To unlink them, simply just unlink them, and they're unlinked. Okay, cool. So that's one of the cool new features that I love as well. Now let's talk about MIDI for a minute. Okay, and this is a whole new rework that they did in the MIDI clip. So I'm gonna play this MIDI clip here. 4, 2, 4, 2. And I should probably turn off that countdown that I was doing. It's evident that I know how to count. And let's see what's on here. So let's say we open up that MIDI clip right here, right? And I'm just gonna turn off this guy right here. So now if we open up that MIDI clip, which I did right here by clicking on it, we can see that, look, this all changed. Now we can see the notes there. Okay, the envelopes are here. And then they have this new editor, which is an expression editor, which is used for MIDI polyphonic expression. What is that? Is a new technology that lets you record MIDI data expression. In other words, kind of sound more like a live instrument, sort of like if you wanted to do a slide on a bass or a guitar, you can now record those and edit them as well. Okay, and if we move this up here, you guys can see that it has slide, pressure, and as well. And so if you have one of those new keyboards now that records MIDI expression, polyphonic expression, then this is the place you will edit them. Now, if you didn't have a keyboard that had that type of keyboard, you can always draw them in, you know, which is pretty cool. You can draw in a slide or anything else that you wanted to on any note that you wanted to. You see that? Okay, that's a kick. We know we're not going to do a slide and a kick, but if it were a bass, you could. Pretty cool feature. Now, if we go back to the notes, okay, what they have now is velocity change. You see the stems are different. And it also has another thing down here, which is probability. Okay, so this lane, we can kind of, like if we're playing a hi-hat, we don't want to sound so robotic, so we kind of make the velocities up and down. Well, now you can, it has an additional feature, which is called probability feature. And what that essentially does is pretty cool, right? So let's say, for example, we'll take this shaker up here, right? And I'm just going to take the pencil there and I'm going to draw it across. Oops. You see, if I wanted to draw those lines across, by the way, if I hold Option, which is a new feature as well, it won't let me, even though I go up and down, it'll keep me there. It'll keep me on the same pitch. okay, by holding Option down, and that is a new feature, okay. If I wanted to draw, obviously, without that, you see how it let me go up and down, okay. So I'm gonna just use the new feature. Cool. And probability means the possibilities of these notes playing in certain sections or throughout. I can change that up here by selecting a note or selecting a range of notes and making those play. Maybe they'll play 50% of the time. So the probability of those playing all the time are not going to be the same, and that's what we want. We don't want the clip to always sound the same, so having the probability option is actually pretty cool. And you can do it to anything. So that's a cool new feature. Love it. Okay. Now you're able to hide this window as well. Fold it up and it goes away. Gives you more space to edit things as well. Another fantastic feature. And for that, I'm going to just go to this MIDI clip that I have here of music. Okay. I'm going to close my velocity laying down. Now clips have scale options on them. If you see here the clip detail view, if you go on the scale, you can set whatever scale you want to work on. For example, I'm working on B minor. Okay, and I want you guys to pay attention, right? The color of the clip is blue. Okay, I'm selecting scale B minor. Okay, so now if I make this bigger, you'll see that this is B. All the main notes are highlighted in blue by the color of the clip, and all the notes in that scale will be the color of the clip as well. If I only wanted to see the notes in that scale, I can fold this scale now up here, and I will only see the notes in that scale. Okay. And let me give you a better example of that. For example, let me make a new clip here, a new MIDI track. Okay, and I'm going to create a MIDI clip. And I'm going to make this the key of C, which is all white, right? They're all white keys. And you guys can see that the main notes or the root note is highlighted in the piano roll, and all the other notes are the color of the clip. I'm going to take the scale and fold it, and you guys can see the only notes that I'll have are the notes in that scale. What is that great for? If I wanted to create a melody in that scale and I didn't know music, I can just freely start to drop notes in and create a melody. Or if I wasn't too great with chords, it would be easy for me just to create chords in the and let me use this one. Chords that would be in key, they would make sense, right? Because they will be within that scale. Okay, so that would be a fantastic option. You see that? I can start to create chords that make sense now if I didn't know too much music theory. Okay, so I love that feature. You know what's funny? I think like Logic recently copied off of them with the live loops, and now Ableton copied a lot of stuff from them as well. But they just steroided, put it on steroid. You know. By the way, so yeah, this is some new features that it has. It has now scale. You can fold it and just have the notes in the scale as well. It has randomization of velocity, and if we bring the velocity window up, you'll be able to also have the option of switching to probability, which means how many times do you want the note to play, the chances of playing a selection of notes or parts, and it'll play different every time it rolls around. And that's what you want to do. You want to kind of create variety in your performance. So that is super, super dope. Okay. Another thing that they did, again, to click on that and it closes it. Let's open it up. Okay. One thing that is hidden here for those of you that use follow action, which is a new feature as well, it's now hidden in the clip right here. If we click on that, it will open up the follow action. What is follow action? It means that you can tell one clip what the next one should do when one clip plays. In other words, if this one finishes playing, should it go to this one? Should it go somewhere else? So I'm going to just make some variations here. Okay, and we'll go to this one, and on this one maybe we'll turn this one off. This one we'll turn that one off. Cool. And on this one, we'll just leave the kick. Cool. So if I play this one, and let's stop all clips, just to make sure that's the only one that's playing. Cool. And this one, let's see what it's playing. And that's everything. So follow action, essentially, we can click on a clip, turn on follow action, and we tell it what it should do. You see how the play button changed? That's the follow action icon now. You can tell it, hey, play the next one. Okay. And it also has this new thing now. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. This blue flag right here is how long do you want that clip to play for now if you're using follow action. You see for 1 bar, and it changed to 1 bar. You can enter it here if you want to, or you can just pull that flag like I did, which is now called the follow action flag, isn't it? Cool. So I'm saying after you're done playing that clip, go to the next one, and I can choose it here as well. Okay, and when it's on the next one, turn on follow action. What do you want it to do when it plays that next one? Okay, maybe I wanted to play the last one on there, which is this one. And how long do I want that one to be? I'll keep it 1 time as well. Okay. And the last one, we turn on follow action as well, and we'll play the previous one. And you can also jump to a particular one if you want to as well. And let's turn it on. You have to turn it on. So now let's go. Let's do this one right here as well, just for this example. And we'll go to jump around. Cool, let's play it. Cool. So that's follow action. Now, follow action was never part of the master track, but they made it part of the master track. So if I click on the master track as well here, okay, you will see now that it has the option for follow action. So if you have a bunch of scenes, you can also make them follow action. Play from one scene, jump to another scene, and anything else like that. What is that cool for? If you have different songs that you're performing with, if you want to try different ideas for your song, you know, like maybe you have your verse and you kind of created the idea here. So now you can also do them in the master track. Another cool thing that's hidden here, before, if we wanted to change tempo from one to another, like if we had one scene that was the verse, or maybe one song we were performing with and we were going to another song, we would have to type in the tempo. Now, if you take the mouse and you pull it over like this, you can see the tempos can be entered here. So I can make this one be tempo 130, okay, and you see how it turns on here. And this one will be tempo 128. This one will be tempo 120. And also you can change time signature on the side. So if I play this one, first it will play that clip. If I turn it on, we can hear it. See, it's at 130. Now I'm going to play the second clip. And it changes the tempo. And the third clip. Okay. And that's a great feature. Time signature and everything right there. Okay. And if you have tempo changes on it, it will be lit up in blue to indicate that that is the case. Okay. I want to go back quickly to that scale that was added. I forgot to say that you can choose from a bunch of scale presets that they have. They have up to 35 different types of scales. It's ridiculous. Cool. So that's also another feature that they have, the follow action feature. Okay, let's see what other features they have. Another feature that's pretty cool, if you have like a computer that has a pretty, it's not as fast, you know, it's an older computer and so forth, or even a newer computer, if it's using too much CPU, it starts to slow down and you kind of have to freeze tracks and things like that. they added this option here at the bottom. If you click on it, and it shows you the CPU's usage. So if one of your tracks is lighting up really bright, well, maybe you should take off some. It gives you the ability to either take off some of the instruments on it, effects on it, or maybe freeze the track. Okay, and up here on the side, they have this also option where you can see your average and your current usage of your CPU as well. Okay, and here, this indicator that's not lit up right now, if your CPU is being overloaded, it will say CPU. Or if your hard drive is being slow, it will say this on it. So those are also cool new additions to it. Let me see what else I wrote down, because there's a lot of stuff actually. Okay, so cool. Let's talk about macros. We know macros are 8, right? But these are now have been expanded to 16 macros. Okay. Now the cool thing about this is that if I wanted to add, see the other 16, I hit this plus sign right here. And it will open up, it will keep adding macros. You see that 10, 11, 12, and I can go up to 16 macros that can be assigned inside of a rack. Okay. Now here what it has, and if it wanted to make them go away, I can make them go all the way up to 1. It does not delete them. It just hides them, and you have only one knob. And that knob represents the first one here, by the way. Now, what's cool about this, they allowed you to create snapshots of different positions. So if I had this one at this position right here, and I wanted to take a snapshot of that, I can go new, and it will add it. By the way, I can move this around if I wanted to. I can also rename it and say, okay. And if I wanted to update it, I can bring it all the way up and just hit the button up there and it's updated. What is this cool for? I'll go to this one right here and I'll play it. Let me turn this track on. Is there any track there playing? Let me play some stuff. And I'll go to this one. See that state? I'll go to the first one. And I'll go to the last one, which was, see, everybody's wet. So think about it. You can create different states, so you can punch in and out. What's also good for that is if you're using it to have different MIDI programs and switch between programs, you can do that as well by setting up a snapshot where it actually switches to a new program that you may be playing in your MIDI. And again, they're movable. You can move them around, and to get rid of them, you can highlight them and delete them as well. So I think that's also super dope. Another cool feature that they added right now here on the side, it has randomize. So I can take these right here and randomize them just for the sake of it, you know. So performing live, maybe I wanted to do some weird stuff and just be surprised or whatever, you can randomize it. Now, if you wanted to exclude one of these knobs from the randomization, if you right click on it, you can exclude it. Okay. From randomization and from variations. Also, I think it's a new freaking cool feature as well. So 16, and by the way, on your push, it reflects on your push as well. Another thing, I still got to go back to that MIDI because there's so much work they did in the MIDI. Once you set one scale, and if I were to add a new MIDI clip here, it will default to the same scale. Doesn't mean you can't change it, but just so you know, and you don't have to worry about it, you'll always be working in that B minor chord, by the way. Okay, so just wanted to let you guys know that once you set the scale, any new clip that you add will retain that scale, and it's up to you to change it. Cool. So that is another cool feature. Now let's talk about the face a little bit, right? So we talked about the buttons up here, and now let's take a look at the browser. So the browser has changed. Now the browsers are now organized in folders, delays and drives and things like that. You open them up, you'll see them in there. It's a lot better organized. Now we have the grooves here, okay, which is sort of what they had with the push. When you would come up here, you can kind of change your groove and your swing. This is the universal one. So if we were to take hip hop, you guys can see that that is the global amount and how much you want of it. So swing for the whole project. They didn't have that before. Super cool. Okay. And keep in mind that the clips themselves have it here independently. So if you wanted to swing that clip different than the global groove, you can do it as well by going up here and changing it. Hit the hot swap button and choose. Okay, so that's also a cool new addition. The Max for Live will be actually inside the instruments now, and the audio effects, they will be part of that section of the browser, which I think is cool because it used to be confusing. You go to Max for Live and stuff like that. So they're going to put them together. Right now, this is a beta version, but and it states in the beta version that is the case. Some of them are there, but not all of them. So I'm assuming by the time they're done, that will be the case. Okay, so what else? Let's go to the preferences. Okay, they've added this new feature. Okay, and the MIDI changed as well. This changed as well. So here you have the MIDI polyphonic expression that you have to turn on. If you have a keyboard that records that, you would have to turn it on so Ableton knows to receive the MIDI polyphonic information from it, expression information from it. The other thing that they changed, you see that everything is really different here. Up here, it has this thing that's called tempo follower to show. You have to turn it on so you can see it up here in the top part. What does that do? It locks up Ableton to any incoming audio signal that it hears. Think it's great if you're performing with a drummer and you want to let him take the lead, or if you are DJing with someone else and maybe you guys don't have the MIDI syncing capabilities and so forth. You can take the output of one computer and bring it to this one and lock up that way. Okay, so right now I have it on my microphone. It's a silly example. Obviously, you would need a beat and something a little bit more consistent than me just talking into it. But we're going to just turn it on so you guys can see. As I'm talking, you guys can see that the tempo is changing. If I talk really fast, really fast, really fast, really fast, you see that the tempo is happening really fast. I'm sounding crazy, but I just want you guys to see that it will change depending on the audio that it's receiving. Okay, and that is a new feature. Okay, it's the tempo follow feature. Super dope. Perform with a drummer, mic the drums, bring it in, select what channels is going to come into your audio interface. Make sure you turn on show. Okay, and turn it on up here, and it will start to change the tempo, and you can play in sync. I think it's super fantastic. Let me see if I missed anything. There's a lot of them, obviously, and a lot of stuff under the hood. Pretty much it's just some, little bit of updates, not so strict like everyone else does, just a little bit loose so you guys can see kind of the idea. So yeah, the MIDI clips have definitely changed a lot again. You guys can see the MIDI clips now have randomization for velocity, and it has a probability option as well. It has the MIDI polyphonic expression options where you can edit multiple things like slide pressure to make it sound more like a live instrument. If you don't have one of those keyboards that offers that, then you can just draw them in yourself. Okay. It also has here on the clip view for you to edit within a scale. So you select your scale, and it will show the notes that are in that scale according to whatever the color of your MIDI clip is. Okay, so for example, this one is blue and the scale is B minor, and all the highlighted blue ones are inside that scale, and the root note is highlighted in the piano roll. If I fold it up, okay, let's find one that's a little bit that stays within the key. Okay, if I fold it up, you will only see the notes in that scale, and it's easy to draw. Another feature that they added, if I use the pencil, I can draw like that. Or if I wanted to draw within one pitch, I hold Option, and it won't let me, no matter if I go up and down, it won't let me change the pitch. So that's locking the pitch. And that's also in preferences, by the way. Forgot where it was at. Right here. Draw mode with pitch lock. You can lock the pitch first if you want to, and then, but holding Option seems like a better Way to go. Cool. And then here on the side, you can now open that up, and the follow action is hidden, which allows to play one clip to another clip and so forth. Close it like that. And you can also minimize this or fold this by double clicking on it, and there it goes. Okay, so there's a lot under the hood of that scale. And by the way, the probability option here is at the bottom. If I make this bigger, and let's get rid of the pencil, I can switch between velocity and probability here. See, velocity or probability, or have them both if I wanted to. Velocity and probability. These are new buttons. Cool, so let's close that down. And again, if we wanted to change tempo, they're hidden here on the side. And now we can enter tempos per scenes. And the master track also now has the follow action, so it'll play from one scene to another scene as well, which is a cool feature. Of course, we have the multiple takes here. When you record something in loop, it will add multiple takes to one track, and then you can comp them later. And to see the lanes, you will right click on it and you will show take lanes. Okay, and you guys can see there. And to edit, you can highlight a section and hit enter, and you can see that it goes to the top. And then you can pull by the edges too, you see that, and kind of keep editing. Or you can use the pencil and select one from here, one from there, and it'll put them up. It's the same for MIDI, and it's the same for audio, the same technique. I love it. You can also take multiple tracks. Let's duplicate that one and duplicate that one, and link them together so you can edit them together. Click them all here. I'm going to select the first one and the last one. Right click on it, and I'm going to link the tracks. Okay, and now I can go here, delete all of them together, maybe take a different section here. Let's make this bigger. Let's get rid of the pencil, and let's say I wanted to get rid of this section instead, so I can edit them all. If I hit record, they will all go into record. Okay, that's great if you're doing recording like drums, a whole kit, and you can record and edit without facing issues. Super great. I'm going to take this out of record for now. Okay, cool. Another feature that they did was for us to see the CPU usage here. If you click on it, it gives you more information. So if you have a slower computer, it's a pretty cool way to see it. And additionally, here at the bottom, they added a new button that lets you see the CPU usage per track. So if one track is really overloading your software or your computer, you'll see it here, and you'll be able to go in there and either freeze it or maybe get rid of some effects on that track, which is really great. Okay, let's see what else. We also talk about the macros, okay, which now we have up to 16 macros, and you can add them by hitting the plus sign. And hitting the negative sign does not delete them, it just hides them. You can hide the macros all the way to one knob. Okay. And again, it has the randomization. So if I have these set to this and I hit randomize, it's going to change their position. If I wanted to exclude one of these knobs from being randomized, I right click on it and I say exclude from randomization. Okay. And we can take multiple snapshots. So if I have this one at 0 and I wanted to take a snapshot of that, I can hit new and it creates one. I could label that dry, right? And let's go to this variation here, and it will make this one wet, right? And I can take a picture and go over it. Okay, there we go. And we'll call that wet. And now we can go back and forth between the two. See that? And you can move their position if you wanted to. To get rid of them, simply hit delete. Okay, which is awesome. Really awesome. There's a lot of reasons for that. And if you guys go back on this video, you guys will see some of them. Let's talk about quickly one more thing. There's a couple of new workarounds for some of the effects. Audio effect, the new one that they have that's super dope, is the hybrid reverb. Okay, and it's right here. And it's a combination of an old school reverb unit and a new school unit. So it's based on basic algorithms, and convolutions. In other words, I can take this hybrid here and use a regular presets that it has, or I can bring in a sample of my own and make that one work as my reverb. So if I take, for example, here and go to samples, I can drop that kick right on it, okay, and make that my reverb as well. So insane. The things you can do that is going to be insane. Okay, now let's go to the audio effects, and then they have the spectral resonator, which is pretty cool sounding. I would mess around with it as well. And there's so many, spectral time as well has been added, so check that one out as well. I haven't had a chance to play with it too much, those that I'm mentioning, but I'm just giving you guys an overall so you guys can go check them out on your own. For now, I did play around with the hybrid reverb. I think it's super great. I think I'm going to mess around with spectral time today and see what that's about, and maybe let you guys know how that worked out. Cool. So now what else? I think for now that's okay. That's a lot of information, but I love it. I think that the updates are ridiculous, and I think they just went to a whole nother planet, you know. So I'm looking forward to the final release, and like I said, this is just the beta version of it, but I am definitely looking for the final release. It's insane. Let me just do something here for a minute. Yeah, what I wanted to say was the CPU that I was talking about was up here, because I always hide it under that, and you guys can see that as well. Okay, and when you're on a track, to see the multiple takes on a track, you would go show take lanes. And let me do that. It would be show take lanes here. Into link tracks, you'll see the link tracks option there as well. Cool. So with that said, thank you for stopping by Planet1wp. My name is Josie Carr, and Ableton gets a 10 fingers up. Great job. Take care, guys. Ciao.